it is our great privilege to have on the line with us today Denny Laine, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame musician, guitarist, singer, songwriter. And Denny, are you there?
Yeah.
Great.
I hear you very well, Rob.
You can or cannot?
Cannot.
You cannot hear me very well. Ah, okay. Well, then I will have Zach play with the buttons a little bit. Can you hear me now? Or is that about the same?
Well, it's okay.
That's okay. All right. So I'll speak slowly. Anyway, you've done so many things in your life. And, of course, this being Beatles and Friends, we're going to focus a little bit on your extraordinary 10 years with Paul McCartney and Wings. You were, no pun intended, or maybe slightly intended, you were his wingman for that entire decade. How did you get the audition? How did you get the job? What was the audition like? Do you remember any of it, or is that long gone?
It wasn't an audition. It was, I knew Paul for many years before. We'd already done the Beatles tour with the Moody Blues. We were under the Brian Epstein management at the time. So it wasn't an audition. He'd come to see me playing a gig with Jimi Hendrix, and he saw me doing something new.
Ah.
And suddenly I was off the road because my band were very busy doing something else. And I did a little bit with Ginger Baker, and then he called me to put it together.
Wow. All right. So it was very organic. So how did you discover that? I mean, you guys harmonized really nicely. Did you guys know that right off the bat? I mean, or did that?
Yeah. Well, we grew up on all that stuff. The Everly Brothers, of course.
Yeah.
But we grew up on all the same music. When we first got together, we were actually just jamming on that sort of stuff. So, it was pretty easy to get working together. We just had a natural feel for it.
Yeah. I mean, some people are natural harmonizers, and I guess you would be one of them.
Well, in the Moody Blues, we had a big harmony situation in the Moody Blues. I mean, we had like 4 singers, and the Moodies were known for their harmonies as well. So,
all right. So I could see how there was a perfect fit. Can you remember? I'm just wondering how it is to work with Paul McCartney. Did he come with his ideas pre-formed and then you just executed them, or do you remember having a major suggestion and he'd go, "Okay, yeah, we'll go with what Denny just said"?
Well, you can't specific. There's no specific way that it happened. It's just that it happened in all those ways you mentioned, and a lot of the time, if it was his song, he would obviously come with a song or a half of a song, and I'd help him finish it or whatever. Same with arrangements. He'd throw in ideas, and we'd just go. We were just bouncing off each other in that way.
And he was pretty good about accepting other people's ideas.
Sorry, what?
He was pretty good about accepting your ideas.
Of course. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't have been there.
Yeah, you were there for 10 years. And when he went to Africa to do Band on the Run, you're the only musician he took with him, correct? Other than his wife, but doesn't really count.
Yeah, well, again, it was supposed to be a band thing, and the band didn't turn up.
Yeah.
They were very...
The other guys chickened out.
Well, I don't know what happened. All I know is they didn't turn up, and I did. So we were stuck there. I don't know what the politics was even behind it. We were stuck there with a studio. We had Jeff Emerick, who was the Beatles engineer.
That's right. That's right.
And he'd also done other stuff with Wings with us. So we were pretty well equipped, and it was an EMI studio. Ginger Baker lived in the same town as well.
Really?
So we kind of got to know everybody, and
wow.
It was a very kind of nice experience, It's a chance to be somewhere different.
Yeah, I was a Cream fan also, so yeah, Ginger Baker, that brings back memories also.
Oh, yeah.
He was a character. Wow. So do you remember any musical disagreements with McCartney where you really felt that you guys should have used a different instrument or a different tempo or anything? Or?
No.
So
you go along with. I mean, most of his ideas are pretty good anyway. It's the same. it was the same with me. We just kind of, like I say, bounced off each other. He did suggest like that I put a Spanish guitar on one of my songs, for example, because I used to live in Spain and I'd learned a bit of flamenco guitar. It's usually the way it works, and I might be playing something in the studio, and I was in the studio once in Montserrat, and I had this new equipment sent to me, this new echo machine, and Stevie Wonder and I were playing around and jamming on this thing, and Paul walked in, and we ended up using that machine on the next song. So it's usually the way it goes. And then Stevie gave Paul a drum machine for the first time that people were using drum machines. And so we started using that for a little while. So whatever was available to us, we would kind of experiment with. And we were both open to that.
Oh, so, yeah, I mean, as you say, no wonder you stuck around for 10 years. It sounds like it was pretty relaxed and organic.
Yeah, well, I was a friend, we're like a bit like a family, really.
Yeah. And he let you sing your song at least once, if not more than once, on his album, which is, I don't know, has anybody else ever sung their song on his album by himself?
Well, this is, again, another question of like, what's, he doesn't look at it as being his album. He looks at it as being a Wings album.
Yes, I think that's exactly where I was going. Yes, exactly.
That's why he wanted to form a band. He'd already done, Ram and McCartney 1 and 2, and he'd already done that solo thing. I mean, that's what I'm doing on stage now, is a solo thing. But, he wanted a band, and he was used to being in a band. And he wanted somebody who was a little bit similar to him in experience, and, again, someone who wouldn't treat him like a star. And, he wanted a sort of a natural, organic band, and that's what he ended up having. And so it wasn't like, anything that you would come up with just for fun, it would, it'd go along with it. He wouldn't say yes or no to it. Just maybe throw in a couple of suggestions here and there, or he'd even play. He was multi-instrumentalist in that sense. We all were. And so whatever we came up with, it was usually used.
I think if you're going to be in his band, you better do more than one thing.
Yeah, absolutely you do. I mean, you're part of the harmonies, you're part of the ideas behind the arrangements. You might try a new guitar that you've just got. We were experimenting, like I say, with keyboards and guitars and all sorts of things. And, of course, on Band on the Run, Paul played drums, which he used to like to do.
No, I didn't realize that. But it makes sense. Yeah. Who else would be playing drums?
Yeah.
Do you remember any song that was really difficult to put together, where you guys really had to sweat it out?
Again, I don't... If I remembered all that stuff, I'd be, the memory man. It's like you can't specify too much anymore. It's just the fact that it all came together pretty easily, I would say. And I wouldn't say anything was that difficult.
Okay.
It's just that if you're trying new ideas, you want to make sure that you always end up coming out of there with something. And I think Paul said that once in an interview about the Beatles. They would go in with an idea or two, but they'd always come out at the end of the day with a track. And that's what we did. Yeah. So we had that ambition to make things work. You see what I mean? And but we did, we did experiment, and experimenting is always, it's not difficult, but it can be complicated. But, it's not difficult. You don't look at it as being, let's throw this idea away. You just kind of go with the flow, and usually at the end of the day, something comes out of it. Yeah. You have to be adaptable.
So 2 of my favorite Wing songs were songs that you co-wrote with him, Deliver Your Children and Mull of Kintyre. Do you have any specific recollections? Well, Mull of Kintyre, you guys were up at the Mull of Kintyre, I assume, up in Scotland.
Yeah, well, that was kind of that was kind of a collaboration. It was more Paul's song in the beginning. He had the chorus, and I was like, there to help him finish it off, which I did lyrically with him. But the other song I wrote myself, Deliver Your Children, he didn't write that. But you did suggest that I put that Spanish guitar on it for a second. Hang on 1 second, guys. Just 1 second. I'm trying to... I'm in a place at the moment. They need my signature. But anyway, yeah. So
yeah, Deliver Your Children. I love that guitar lick. So I'm guessing that was your guitar lick. Da 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 da. You know that.
Yeah, well, that's the Spanish bit. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it makes that song. And then of course the harmonies are great. So congratulations. I mean, that was such a good song. And of course you had your own songs on the various albums also. So. It's been an absolute thrill speaking with you. I don't know if there's anything else you want to bring up or something I might not know about you or know about the band. Or I know you've been doing solo shows around the country.
Well, I could just mention that I'm out on the road at the moment doing solo shows, and I'm performing those songs with just acoustic guitar, so that it gives you an idea of how they originally started. You know what I mean?
And where are your next shows?
What's that?
Where are your next shows?
Tuesday, I'm going down to North Carolina, and down that area for a few days. But
okay.
I kind of do a few every month.
And what do you call home? Where do you live?
New York.
No kidding. Oh, okay. Well, so do I. We'll have to get together for a drink.
All right.
All right. Listen, Denny, thank you so much. We're now going to play your music. And we really appreciate you having called in. Thanks a million.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks very much.
Take care, Denny. Bye-bye now.
Cheers, pal.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Since you gotta go, oh, you better go now. Darling, you better go now. Wall of Kintyre.